Hello my YouTube fans. Today we're going to be making a MiMi mermaid. So what you're going to need is I'm using a D 3.25 millimeter hook. You're going to also need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle. You're going to need safety eyes and some stuffing. And of course for the yarn, I'm going to be using blue, green, and also I'm going to be using some white. Now you can use any yarn you like. I am using some leftover, this is buttercream edition. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's discontinued. It kind of feels like t-shirt yarn, which is something that I like to make some of my MiMis out of. But I also, if I can't find this kind of yarn, the yarn that I use the most would be the Big Twist or the 1-pounders. You can use the 1-pounders. Those I use too, just because they have more yarn, but the ones that I use the most is the Big Twist solid colors. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on our MiMi mermaid, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a slip knot. Okay, and then we're going to chain 17. Now what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, and 3. So right here, going to chain, there we go. And I'm going to do my double crochet. Okay, and then we're just going to double crochet all the way across, and we should have 15 double crochets when we're done. Okay, and now that I went ahead and I finished that, like I said, you should have 15 double crochets. So now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and then you're going to do a double crochet decrease. So go ahead, in the very first stitch, I have 3 on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over, go through the next one and pull up my loop. Then I'm going to crochet, I'm going to pull through 4, yarn over, and pull through what's left. And there is my double crochet decrease. Then we're going to double crochet all the way across to the last stitch. Okay, and so now that I have finished round 2, you should have 14 stitches. Now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to turn our work, and we're going to double crochet in the next 12 stitches. Okay, and now that I have double crocheted, and those 12, oh my, seems my yarn just got a little tangled. Darn, 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 darn. Okay. There we go. Okay, let me just untangle all of that. I want no more of that. Okay. There we go. So now that I have double crochet in those 12, now we're going to double crochet decrease in these last 2 stitches. Okay. All right. And now that I have done that, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to move on to row, not round, row 4. So then we're going to double crochet decrease again. So 2, and then we're going to double crochet in the last 11 stitches. Okay, and now you should have a total of 12 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to turn, and we're going to double crochet in the next 10 stitches. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to double crochet decrease in the last 2 stitches. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you should have 11 double crochets at this point. Now we're going to do row 6, and we're going to double crochet decrease first, okay, there's my double crochet decrease, and then we're going to double crochet in the next 9 stitches, the last 9 stitches. And you should have 10 double crochet at this point. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn our work and we're going to double crochet in the next 9 stitches. And in the very last stitch, and what we're going to do is we're going to increase. So we're going to put 2 double crochets in the very last stitch. And now you should have 11 double crochets so far. Then you want to chain 2, 1, 2. You want to turn, and you're going to put 2 double crochets in the very first stitch. So hold on. 1, and this would be 2. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 10 stitches. Okay, so now that I have gone ahead and I have finished row 7, we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and you should now have, I'm sorry, I finished row 8. You should now have 12 double crochets. So we'll chain 2, and we're going to double crochet in the next 11 stitches. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So 1 and 2. And at the end of round, I'm sorry, not round, row 9, you should have 13 double crochets. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, and for row 10, we're going to do a double crochet decrease. So 1, okay, so that's 1, and then this is the second one, and that is our increase. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 12 stitches. Okay, so now that we're finished, I'm going ahead and do round 11. So at the end of round 10, you should have 14 double crochets. Chain 2, then we're going to turn, and we're going to double crochet in the next 13 stitches. And now for our very last stitch, we're going to put 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2. Okay, and now that we're done with our last double crochet, this is going to be our fan. So in order to finish it off, we're just going to chain 1, and we're going to simply single crochet all the way around, evening it off. This just makes it look a little bit better, that's all. Okay, this little piece that I just did is going to be our fan. And I see there's my little ruffle here, which is from me tying 2 pieces together. I'm just gonna cut that off. There we go, that'll work. Okay, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut off a long piece of yarn for sewing later. There we go. And I'm going to put this yarn to the side. I'm going to actually make a knot in this so it does not come loose. We're going to take this and we're going to lay this to the side. Now we're going to get started on the body part of our MiMi Mermaid. So we'll go ahead and we're going to start with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to join with a slip stitch. And then into the ring, we're going to put 6 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, this is 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and since this is going to be a continuous round, I'm going to go ahead and grab me a stitch marker. Okay. And now for round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochets. I'm sorry, we're going to single crochet in next stitch and then 2 single crochets. Just so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I want to put 2. I'm sorry, I want to put a 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet in the stitch after that. So 1, 2. And I'm going to repeat that to the end. Okay, and now we're going to do round 3, where we're going to just single crochet in each stitch. You should have 9 stitches. Yep. Okay, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, and now for round 4, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. So 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that to the end. Okay, and now for round 5, you should have 12 stitches after round 4. For round 5, you're just going to single crochet in each stitch. Okay, now we're going to do round 6, which is we're going to single crochet in the next 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then 2 single crochet in the stitch after that. So 1 and 2, and of course we're going to repeat that to the end. Okay, and now for round 7, we're just going to single crochet all the way around, and you should have 15 stitches at this point. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move to round 8, where we're going to single crochet in the next 4. That's 2, 3, and 4, and then 2 single crochet in the stitch after that. So 1 and 2, and then we want to repeat that to the end. Okay, and now you should have 18 stitches at the end of this, and for round 9 it's just 1 single crochet all the way around. Okay, so now that we've finished round 9, which again you should have 18 stitches at the end of that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do round 10, which is we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, Okay, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in a stitch after that, and we're going to repeat all the way to the end. And then for round 10, it's just going to be 1 single crochet all the way around, and you should have 21 stitches at the end of this round. Okay, and so now that we have finished round 11, we're going to move on to round 12, where we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And 2 single crochets in the stitch after that, 1 and 2. And we're going to repeat that to the end. Okay, and now that we've finished round 12, we're going to go ahead and move on to round 13, where we're going to single crochet in the next 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. We're going to repeat to the end, and at the end you should have 27 stitches. Okay, so our next round, which is round 14, you're just gonna single crochet all the way around. There's no increasing. You should still have 27 stitches at the end of this round. We're going to move on to round 15, where we're going to single crochet in the next 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. And we're going to repeat that all the way to the end. Okay, so now we're going to move on to round 16, where we're going to single crochet in the next 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7, 8 and 9, and I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the stitch after that. And then we're going to repeat that all the way to the end. At the end of this round, you should have 33 stitches. Now we're going to move on to round 17. We're going to single crochet in the next 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then I'm going to put 2 single crochets and a stitch after that. So 1 and 2. And we'll go ahead and repeat that to the end. Now we're going to move on to rounds 18 through 31. And for rounds 18 through 31, it is going to be simply 1 single crochet all the way around. No increasing, and of course you should have 36 stitches. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish up rounds 18 through 31 off camera, and then I will meet you back at the end and show you what to do next. So I went ahead and I finished rounds 18 through 31, and this is what you should have so far. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut off a small tail there, and then we're going to go ahead and start with our white. This would start the top of the body. So here's our tail, and we did our fin first. So now we're going to start with the top half of the body. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hook on the 2 loops. So you're going to have 2 loops on your hook from the last color if you're changing colors. If not, you can just continue on. You're going to lay over your new color and finish the single crochet with your new color. And you want to pull tight. Okay? And now for round 32, we're going to single crochet in the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's 8, 9, and this is 10. And then you want to decrease by doing a single crochet decrease in the next 2. And then you're going to go ahead and you want to repeat that all the way around. Okay, and now that I finished round 32, we're gonna go ahead and do round 33. So 33 and 33, we will do just one single crochet all the way around. So just one single crochet in each stitch. Okay, and now that we've finished round 33, for round 34, we're going to single crochet in the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's one single crochet in the next 9, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. Finished round 34. Now I went ahead and I changed my stitch marker because it was getting kind of hard to see with the fact that I'm using white on white. So now we're going to do rounds 35 to 39, which are going to just be one single crochet in each stitch, and you should have a total of 30 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to finish those 4 rounds up off camera, and then I will meet you back at the end and I will show you what to do next. Okay, so now that I went ahead and I finished round 35 to 39, we're going to go ahead and do round 40. On round 40, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to go ahead and do a single crochet decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, and at the end of the round you should have 24 stitches. Okay, so now I went ahead and I finished round 40. We're going to go ahead and we're going to move to round 41, which is going to be, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do a single crochet decrease, and we're going to repeat all the way around. Okay, and now that I've finished round 41, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do rounds 42 to 46, which should just be one single crochet all the way around, and you should have a total of 18 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to finish this up off camera, and then when I get back I will show you what to do. Okay, next. So I went ahead and I finished rounds 42 to 46, and this is what you should have so far. Now I already cut off my yarn, so I'm just going to pull it through to secure it. And then I'm going to take my yarn needle that I have here. I'm just going to take this yarn tail, and we're going to loop it. We're just going to hide it in the inside. I like to do mine in the inside and just weave it through. Just like that. And then I just cut off any extra. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and stuff this now. Now you can stuff it at any point, but I'm gonna stuff it here. And to get it down in there, I just use a pencil. Okay, so I've stuffed it, and so this is what you should have. Just kind of want to make sure you get all the stuffing in the right places. You can stuff at any point. So say you get up here and you would like to stuff it, you can go ahead and do that and then continue to keep going. I like to stuff mine at the end. So this is what you should have so far. And I'm going to go ahead and sit this to the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to sew on your tail. But before I do that, I just want to show you what I did to get my yarn needle up here and to get it to you know, have those little points. So I was down here at the corner. I just weaved my needle, my yarn in and up through the middle, and then I went around the entire side, around here, and up through the middle again, just weaving the yarn out through the middle so that we can sew on the tail. We're going to sew it on the very tip, just like that. You're going to lay it over the tip, just like that, and sew it on. So we're going to start maybe 2 over. I'm just going to go straight through the tip. Just like that. I'm going to sew it on, and you want to be careful. And don't do what I just did. So, okay. But just like that. Then you come in through the opposite side, so through the back side. You want to come in. And you want to just like this. And just back and forth until you've got the tail secured on. And then there we go. I'm gonna double it this time, so I'm just gonna go through again, just making sure it's really secure. And then somewhere in the back, you want to secure it. So I'm just going to weave it through one of these stitches, pull it out. I'm going to go around and make a loop. So I'm going to pull this, but I'm not going to pull it all the way. And I'm going to take my needle and put it through there. And then through that loop. And then I'm going to push it down first, then pull to secure a knot. Then I'm going to weave in. I'm going to weave in the rest of my tail, hiding the rest of my yarn tail. Just like this. Then I'm just going to take and cut off the extra. And so there we have our fishtail that has been sewn on. Okay, now for the head and the arms, it is the exact same pattern for my plum MiMi doll. So for the head and the arms, you can just watch that video. And I believe there is a written version on my blog. Of course, I will have all the links down below. So I hope that you have enjoyed this MiMi Mermaid tutorial. And as always, I am Pink Olay saying happy crochet.